As a Muslim, I struggle to understand why the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ married Ayesha when she was only 9 years old. Even knowing that girls matured earlier back then, it still feels wrong to me. How can I make sense of this, as it raised a lot of doubts in me as Muslim? First of all, I'd like to refer to the point that some people do their best to deny that Ayesha radiallahu anha was married at 9. They ignore authentic hadith that have been agreed upon and that she narrated herself. And they rely on weak speculations of her getting married at 12 or 19 just to make Islam seem more acceptable to the modern minds. They are trying to make our religion appealing to others. But Islam is not about changing the truth. It's about submitting to the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if it looked bad or evil to you. As Muslims, we should never be ashamed of our history. Instead, we trust that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed through His Prophet was the best, even if the whole world sees it differently, even if it doesn't make sense to you. And to try to think deeply of our religion and the stories in the Quran revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself to teach us the true meaning of submission. Like the story of the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, who was commanded to slaughter his own son. He didn't question, he didn't argue. He just trusted and submitted. And just before the knife fell, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replaced the boy with a sheep. And Ibrahim alayhi salam became the greatest example of a full submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also Maryam alayhi salam, she gave birth to a child without ever being touched by a man. She was overwhelmed to the extent that she said, I wish I had died before this and was forgotten. She didn't understand it, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a plan. It was a miracle that no one could explain, but it became a sign for all of humanity. And the story of Al-Khidr and the child he killed. When the Prophet Musa alayhi salam saw Al-Khidr kill a young boy, and Musa got very shocked and angry, but later Al-Khidr explained the wisdom behind it. When he said, as for the boy, his parents were believers, and we feared he would burden them with arrogance and disbelief. So we intended their Lord would replace him with someone better. Taking a child's life seemed cruel, yes, but in the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it was pure mercy for his parents. Do you know what the real issue is? It's that we try to use pure logic to understand things that are based on faith and submission. But not everything in Islam is meant to make sense. Some things are meant to test your heart, not your mind. If Islam were purely logical, why would we circle the Kaaba or run between two mountains? It's not about the movements, it's about obedience. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands with anything, even if it wasn't logical to you, the role of a Muslim is not to question, but to submit, trust, and surrender to the one who knows what we don't know. When we try to measure the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with human logic, this will only show how small you truly are as a human being. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, وَمَنْ يُسْلِمْ وَجْهَهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَهُوَ مُحْسِنٌ فَقَدْ اسْتَمْسَكَ بِالْعُرْوَةِ الْوُثْقَى. Whoever submits himself to Allah while doing good has truly grasped the firmest handhold. When you submit, you will be the one who holds the firmest handhold, the grip that never breaks, the unshakable faith and the complete trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.